our God. Because again, Lord, that we battle before did and will come from battle that we ever talk about. Lord, we're not to tell you things, but it's blessed that you have to serve upon God. But you allowed us another opportunity to come back here in this place of which, no God, we pray tonight that you will govern this meeting only the way you see to know how. Speak to the heart of our people that they might rule over your people well. They will be pleasing in your sight. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll for us, please?
Ms. Davis,
Here.
Mr. St. Columbia,
Present.
Dr. Miller, Mr. Messina,
Present.
Mr. Etherly, Ms. Miller,
Here.
5 present, 1 absent.
Spend if you would. Thank you. Good evening, members of our city council and city administration and the general public joining us here in the council room and by electronic observation. On this agenda, we had promised Chief Bell we would let him go first, but I wanted also to make the council aware we have at least 2 other guests, Reverend Roy Williams and Ms. Faye Duncan Daniels. And so at this time, I would just yield to Chief Bell. His presentation starts on page 4. I guess the actuality of it starts on page 6.
Staff. Going all right, the mayor, city council. My presentation is about promotion, budgetary issues, and perhaps promotions. Didn't know if we are talking about hiring, we need to do executive session or not before we go into my presentation. If not, I'm fine to talk in front of the public about our concerns and what we are desiring of our city council. A few weeks ago, my staff and I met with the city council individually. We submitted to you all a proposal as to our budgetary adjustments. In that proposal, we were asking that the city council consider approving what was presented. And as it was presented, our proposal is less than the city's present total salary budgeted. The city budgeted $894,828,000, and my redistribution proposal is $864,948, which is $7,000 less than the city's. And what we are asking is that you all who have looked at for about 2 months now to approve our proposal. This proposal will hire new employees to fulfill the vacancies that we now have. We have 7 full-time police officers, including myself. That's not sufficient to work to provide security and safety for the citizens of this community. I wish this council chamber was full tonight of citizens who called my office, perhaps called the mayor's office, complaining about crime, slow response time, and things of that nature. This is why we are facing our current critical law enforcement issues because of being short-staffed. 7 officers working 12-hour shifts 6 days a week. That's not fair. We've been doing it too long. We have, out of the 7 that I just mentioned, we're getting ready to lose 1 to Game and Fish, probably by the end of the month. So we'll be down to 6 officers, 6 officers. So in my package, I stated that upon this redistribution of the existing budget funding, the Helena-West Helena Police Department full-time officers budget will be $864,948 for the 2025 calendar year. This is a $29,880 less than what's proposed by, I guess, the city treasurer's budget. And what I've done, let me go back. In 2023, we began with 41 officers. Because of the city's budget restraints, I went into our budget, the police department's budget, reduced our staff to 25 officers, hoping that the city would look at that and approve that. We got no approval from the city council. However, they left the number at 25, accepted the reduction that I presented, but we got no benefits from our work and our proposal. This year again, in 2025, we look at the budget again. We have reduced from 25 to 18. 18 will get us by, it will provide us with resources to combat crime within our community. I'm hoping tonight that we don't take the 18, leave it at 18, and we get nothing out of it. I don't see why we couldn't pass or accept what's been presented to us, since it's lower than what you all have already given us. Y'all have any questions of me while I'm listening and waiting for you all? We've had about a month and a half or two to look at what I presented or what I'm standing up here for. In our meetings, I recall that you all stated that you all supported the police department and that no one really saw any objections to what was in front of us. And so tonight, the rubber meets the road. In our opinion, my staff and I, we're here asking you all to take some action tonight. Some of us showed up tonight in support of our proposal tonight. What we're asking for is not too much. In order for us to get to where we need to get to, we have to increase our bottom line, our entry level. We are the Tri-County area plus Clarksdale, Tunica. We are the lowest paid law enforcement agency in the Tri-County plus the Mississippi area. We are working our officers at less than what McDonald's pay. Do y'all hear me? Less than what McDonald's pay. That's a shame in 2025. That has to change. We have officers or individuals who are interested in coming to our police department, but the question is, what is the starting salary? Once we announce the starting salary, then that's a deal breaker. We have to at least raise the entry level up to at least 35,000 starting out. And that's still teetering on the bottom lower level. The city has the money. It's already budgeted. And yes, I understand what a budget is, but we're going to pay these guys continually upwards of $250,000, $400,000 in overtime. We spent $275,000 last year in overtime. The year before that, we spent $400,000 in overtime last for the police department. When is enough enough? I say tonight. We are working these guys in an environment where crime is not getting any better. Last weekend, we had several shootings in our community. These guys that we are combating or dealing with, they have weapons, they call clips that they buy online that shoots like automatic weapons. This is the danger that we got to face for $12 an hour. The guys in the streets are not playing games with anybody, including law enforcement. There's no fear of law enforcement. These individuals know what our staff is made of. They know how many officers we got on the street. 2, 3. But the sad part about it, when it hits home, then we're going to want to do something. We're asking you all to do something now. We cannot continue to do and provide the services that we need to provide with 2 officers on the street in this city with crime at the rate that it is. We've been blessed to maintain and hold it down with our dedicated officers that we do have. They're burnt out, they're tired. You all who have met with us, you've heard the stories already. And quite frankly, we're tired of beating a dead horse. I'm speaking for them, and I'm standing for them. I can take the heat. I can stand in the gap. But it's time that the city council do something. Yes, sir.
Chief, what is the starting pay at the county for the sheriff department, the county law enforcement officers?
The county is probably about the same as we are. They may be $1 more. I think I didn't bring that list with me tonight as far as the comparison. The county may be at $13.50, maybe $14 an hour. I think. One of you all know? 16. I'm told 16. $16 an hour versus $12.45.
Did you say how many part-time officers you have?
Say it again. How many?
Part-time.
5. I didn't mention part-time officers because we need full-time officers.
I just wanted to know.
Yeah, okay. So that really concludes my presentation tonight. And again, my prayer is that you all will take a positive step tonight in approving these adjustments, which is within the guidelines that you have already set.
Before you sit down, Chief Bill, I went a little step further to help the council to understand when we talk about, they're asking for something. I'm gonna read you off the numbers so you all can have this for your hearing. We paid one officer $62,000. That includes overtime. 67, 63, 41, 38, 75, 48, 78, 27, 26. These must be part-time, but the majority of what we pay is overtime. And until we decide, hey, I was outside doing something and bullets just rang out. See, if you're in the neighborhood where crime is, it really don't bother you. But I wish you'd come live on my street. Or imagine that's your mother, your father, your child outside playing, and they got switches. Our officers don't have switches. You get 30 shots. And you say, well, I ain't see the police, I ain't heard nobody. Well, let's think about it. Would you put your life on the line? I know people always say, well, we can't afford. Well, if you listen to the numbers, the treasurer's not here, but if you listen to the numbers, we paying it with overtime.
Already.
I remember Mr. Anthony used to say, well, I think we had like 41 officers one time, and we never could get to the number. Mr. Anthony said, we need to bring it down. He said, I'll give you, I think it was 30. He said, but I don't think you can get to the 30. He gave us 30. I think we still didn't get to the 30. So I remember they accused the body of defunding the police department. Came here, marched in, said we were defunding the police department. All we were doing is trying to see, could we get to the number? We never got to the number. But they still, you know, we're paying out the money. My thing is this. We are paying and we're losing. And at some point, we've cut as much as we can cut. But when are we gonna just at least look out for the people who are putting all our departments put their life on line in some way, somehow, health as well too. Right now, we're just talking about one department. It's Helena-West Helena Police Department. At some point, we have to show people that in order to get folks off the street, you gotta have law enforcement. You can't, I mean, you know, we get in this council and we talk about we got 3 officers on shift. Well, you know, we told the whole world what we got. So while we got 3 in the meeting, what's happened to the streets? So because we tell our plan. So I would encourage us to see what we can do. If we have to have a meeting, but I think that, you know, the number is here.
I believe the actual issue is doing something that's budget neutral is what the chief is asking for. It's just, you've already appropriated the money and we've never been able to reach the numbers that you've appropriated. The fire department has far more officers than the police department. And since you already appropriated the money, what he's asking for you to do is simply rework your budget to give people salaries that are commensurate with what other officers are making. Now, I represent several cities. I represent 4 cities right now, and Helena by far is the largest, and by far the police are paid the least. There are cities that start out at $16 an hour, $17 an hour. There are some that start out $15 an hour, $12 an hour. You won't be able to get people. And the practical problem we have, most other cities are having the same problem. They're raising the entry salary. What the chief said, if you just take the basic numbers, 33,000 divided by 2080, you're gonna get an hourly amount. 2080 for those that aren't familiar with it, the 40-hour week, 52 weeks a year. We're just talking about the base number. And so, like the city of Earl is a very small city. They start out at $16 an hour and trying to go to $18 an hour. City of Augusta, I don't remember City of Earl, but City of Augusta starts out $17 an hour. City of Parkin, $15 an hour. So the city of Helena-West Helena is way below what small departments are doing, and not the large departments. And just, as the chief said, you're $4 an hour below the county. And if we want good law enforcement, we need to pay for it. I think that you all can look at the budget and rework the numbers in order to get where you are and still hire people and move forward. And I think that's all he's asking you to do, as long as it's budget neutral. I know the treasurer's not here, but the mayor and the city clerk are here. But I think it's something we need to seriously look at, because we need to attract officers who, so we can move forward with law enforcement. And the mayor has also showed, and this has been a historical issue with our police department, because we've been undermanned, we're still spending the money. We're paying people $60,000, $75,000, et cetera, and overtime. And there's an effect that, as city attorney, I have a concern. I hadn't posted publicly. I have talked to the chief about it and the mayor on several occasions. At some point, officers can't continue to work the lengthy hours that they're working. At some point, it's going to cause an issue. And we have to do something to have other officers, to have salaries that are reasonable, and so these officers can get some rest. I have concerns about the many hours that many of them are working, and I think that they need some rest, and we need to have positions available for people. I understand we have a budget, and I'm just actually, as city attorney, that if you look at being budget neutral and deal with it from that standpoint, and then we can go further from there if they need additional funding later. But if you've already passed the budget and you're not fulfilling those requirements, then we need to look at it. And I don't want to discuss, the chief has talked to me many times about the number of officers. I don't want to discuss that publicly with you all, but I encourage you all to talk to him about the number of officers that you have and the difficulties that it's having as far as numbers. And it starts with salary. And so I yield to anyone else, but I just wanted to tell you that.
Hey,
Hey, Chief, if we were fully staffed, full-time, what would it look, how many full-time staff should we have?
So if we go back to the
In
original,
a perfect world.
in a perfect world,
Yes, sir.
25 would be good for a city house size.
And then the number that you gave about, well, actually, Mayor did. Mayor, you might answer the 75,000. Basically, what we spent, including salary and overtime. Was that cumulative to this point, or was that just for last year? That was last year's salary.
Last year, well, part of this year, last year we spent $727,000 on police.
Okay.
On overtime, or just the small officers.
Okay.
That's including the whole department.
Yes, sir.
So
Okay.
The only question I have is, and I'm totally in support, but so let's say that we did theoretically go ahead and do that. If you still don't have any potential candidates, then the men would be making a salary, correct?
Yes.
And so then they would not be eligible for overtime. So what happens if you don't get anybody and then you're still having to work them those extra hours?
Good question. A part of my proposal, which we discussed in our meetings, is that we will hold off on the implementation of the raises, of the increases, until we are fully staffed. And then certainly we'll cut or eliminate overtime pretty much altogether. However, the officers coming in will be at the new salaries. And with the older guys, we'll go back and bring them up to date. They won't lose anything. We'll go back retro and bring those guys back to where they are to date once we get fully staffed. We have identified at least 3 to 4 officers already that's ready to come on board. We know at least 2 right now. Of course, I would ask them to do a 2-week, notice if they want to take that route, but we have officers that we have identified that possibly come on board immediately.
Chief, how soon could you fulfill the number of police officers you need by having this increase like this on the entry level? How soon do you feel like that you'll have enough law enforcement people on your force?
I'm projecting
How
about
quickly can you get that done?
a month and a half, maybe 2. Yes.
You think you could draw that many people that quick?
I think so.
Then I'm convinced, I've always been convinced that you've got to put the carrot out there in front to draw the donkey forward. You got to get moving, and to build a good police force, you have to pay your officers. I'm a firm believer in that. That's why I think I mentioned we need to look at our finances. We're straining now, as I understand it, to make the payroll because of the indebtedness that we have. But I'm still in favor of moving forward to get protection and hiring people to do this job as a police officer. I'm convinced that we have to have more money there in your business to draw competent, qualified people in law enforcement. I'm just,
It'll
we
work
don't
out.
have any new dollars to spend.
I'm not
So we
asking
got
for
so many old dollars we got to pay for indebtedness, We need to figure out maybe some jobs we have to cut to finance your project.
So we have 7 now, and you said a month and a half, what, 2 months?
About 2.
How many would you like to hire within that 2 months?
Right now, within the 2 months, I'm hoping to get to 18.
Really?
To hire 18?
Yeah,
It's in total.
total, 18.
All right.
Yeah, up to the 18. So we're looking at 11. So we're not asking for new monies. There's no new monies that we're asking for.
I've always been one of the one. I love that Mr. St. Columbia can always say that we need to cut, we need to find new money. But as I was looking at the state of the city in 1999, when Dr. Robert Miller was the mayor, he said we lost 3,000 people and counting. My whole thing that I've been looking at, every time somebody asks for something, I'm willing, Mr. St. Columbia, if you will, you're one of the highest paid city council members at the table. If you cut dollar for dollar, I'll cut dollar for dollar so we can save. So put your dollar amount out here, how much you want to start with yourself and cutting. Because I get tired of every time we talk about something, it's an argument. It's what we can't do. Oh, wait, Mr. St. Columbia. At some point, I'm tired. It's all we do when we get around this table is talk about what we can't do. Nobody's asking for any new money. Oh, wait. You're going to learn. What Mr. St. Columbia, I'm speaking. The problem that we have is this. The chief has done everything we've asked him to do. And every time that something comes up, we tell the public, we tell criminals how many officers we got on the street. We do that. We tell everybody out there, our listening audience, what our problems are. But I've never heard anybody come to with a solution. You running this city is a hell of a job to try to fix the problems that have been here. We didn't just become broke today. We didn't just get broke under this administration. See, we laugh, but go back and look at your books. Just as today, the clerk and I saw a bill for $13,000 for concrete that's been on your books since 2022, before I took this job. Me and the clerk always trying to find ways. I give the clerk credit. We try to find ways to do what we have to do to make this city run. And this is not what excuse me. Excuse me.
What big mouth?
See, Ms. St. Clem, I'm not going to disrespect you, but I tell you this.
I make a motion, Mr. Mayor, that we go with this proposal and finance our police department. We can't do it. And then maybe they'll cut back on overtime. And we're paying it anyway. We're moving the dollars around, but we can't pay the overtime and the raise of pay at the same time.
Right.
How long?
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Let's take a vote.
You're going to wait till I finish speaking. That's what you're going to do. You ain't going to disrespect me. You're going to wait till I'm finished speaking. Then your motion and your second can resume. But as I was saying, we're not going to disrespect me. I'm the head of this table. So, Chief, I appreciate what you're doing. I'm glad that Mr. St. Clement, after many years of arguing, he finally decided that he wants to do something. So, Madam Clerk, there's a motion by Mr. St. Columbia and a second by Mr. Messina. Any discussion?
Is this not, since this is a financial issue, should we not wait until after we've met on next Tuesday?
I think, Miss Miller, while the iron is hot and your long-standing city council member, Mr. Joe St. Columbia, is pushing this, we need to move while the fire is hot. Amen. And we'll deal with that as we can. But right now, Mr. St. Columbia, who is making this powerful motion at this time, we should run with it. And if it's not right, we'll deal with it then. But he's made a historical motion, and we need to act on it now.
And we should.
No, we have to amend base pay first before we do anything.
Yeah, that's what Mr. Ether was just asking. We do have to amend the base pay first to establish that. You have to have a base pay ordinance to do so.
What the base pay got to do with this? We're not dealing with base pay.
Yes, you are. You're dealing with the entry level salary.
Because
You're changing the entry level salary for everyone. That's what he was saying.
Well, do we two things then, so we won't get caught up in the crossfire. Do the base pay for the entry level and go ahead and do what we need to do for the existing officers that's already here.
If I can just add a little light on what the chief said, the last statement, that's all I'm adding light to. I think the young men, I call them young because I'm almost 60, are here hoping that you give them some hope tonight. And I hope, like they hope, that you give them some hope tonight.
Stop procrastinating. We ain't got time for that.
Let me throw my 2 cents in now. We all talked. We talked a long time. I think I stayed over at the police department about an hour. And in fairness, I think I ought to say what I said at the police department, which is I've been in favor of raising our police department's pay because I personally get to see how hard these guys work. I think I told you I want them to come on my block when I call. I want them to get more money. My fear, and I'll say to everybody at this table, is that I don't have a checkbook and I don't get to manage money at this table. And the money management is awful. It's just awful. We owe APRAs. We owe payroll taxes. We owe all of this stuff. And it's our employees who are not receiving those things that they are owed. And so my fear is that in the effort to do good by a few people, we take the whole ship down because I won't be around when the money gets spent. We'll certainly get blamed for it at this table because we always have been. But I'm not around. I don't get to sign the checks. I don't get to approve who gets paid, who doesn't get paid. I don't get to tell you that we ran over this line item $100,000 because I don't have that information. And nobody in the years that I've been here will tell us that. Like $700,000 over the salaries budgeted last year, we wouldn't know that if we didn't have this presentation. $700,000 in overtime. So I can tell you, I'm just as much for it today as I was when I talked to you. My mind didn't change. But what I also told you is we need help, not just from the people at the table, but the people in the departments to help keep the people who manage money in line. Is that not what I said? I said that, didn't I? Yeah, I said that. I said, Chief, I don't get to manage the money. If I could manage the money, there's a whole lot of stuff that wouldn't happen around the city. But I don't have a checkbook. And so if we raise pay with no numbers, no direction, and no structure, other than we put it in the budget, because see, I know what people think. We budgeted $2 million for police, and so much of it was for, we had 30 people in the budget for salary, 25, and they only had 10 on staff. That money should still be there, but that's not what happens on the ground. What happens on the ground is that money gets spent somewhere else that nobody knows about. And the problem is if it gets spent over in this department or that department or over here, over there, and you raise these people, you raise these guys' pay, two things. We need to boots on the ground so that the overtime doesn't come in at a higher rate. Because if we raise the pay, then the overtime goes up. And if we don't have these people in place, so this is when I say structure, this is what I'm talking about when I say structure. There needs to be some structured inflow of bodies so that we can see, okay, if we add 5 people, that's going to reduce the overtime by this much. And then we can raise the pay with the bodies as they come in. But if we just throw money at it and we still got these same number of people, the overtime ain't gonna change, but the payroll is.
What I said was in the beginning that the implementation of the proposal will not go into effect until we are fully staffed and overtime can be controlled. So we've heard the same. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
And we've heard every time we come before you all, you have the same speech about the budget. Yeah, we know we have budgetary restraints and we have budget issues as far as making pay payroll or bills you gotta pay. Well, we are a bill. You got to pay this bill. If you don't pay this bill, you're not gonna have police officers.
Chief, I understand that. The problem is, when I talk about structure, is what's being said here at the table tonight is do it right now, do it right now, do it right now. But there's no structure to it. And I hear you saying, let's bring the people in first. But what does it mechanically look like on the ground? What does it look like? When do these people come in? When do they hit the payroll? See, there's no discussion about that part of it. And the problem
We
is,
discussed that, Mr. Anthony.
well, no. There was no dates, there's no times, there's no,
We said 1.5 months to 2 months.
but that's not precise. That's not, I'm talking about precision. Because I'm talking precision for a reason. I'm talking precision for a reason. Because if it's not precise, see,
You're
if
talking
people,
apples and oranges.
no, it's not apples and oranges, Chief. Because the people, when those guys go to work and every other Friday when they want to be paid, they don't care about whether the guys in the landfills aprons was paid or not. They care about that check that they get in hand. They don't, nobody picks up a check on Friday and say, hey, did you send in my payroll taxes? None of them do. They want that check right now. They don't care about what's going to
Well,
happen.
the citizens of this community want law enforcement right now.
They want
They don't
to,
want it
Chief,
yesterday.
the citizens
They
of this
want
community
service.
want
They
law
want service.
enforcement, but they also
want
want the
service.
money to be in
They
line.
want service today.
They don't want us to be reckless with our
And
spending.
they're not getting the services that they deserve and that they need.
They are not.
They're not.
We don't disagree on that. We don't disagree. I'm not against you. I'm against the way that this is being rammed into this body as if there's no consequence.
Being rammed, you've had 2 months already to look at this proposal, and we had numerous city council meetings already that you all have not given me the opportunity to come before you all. So we've already had this on the agenda, and you've had the proposal in your hand already.
But I have the proposal, and my way of implementing it didn't change.
Okay, well,
I think
change.
my way of implementation hasn't changed. And all I'm saying is I'm for it. I'm for it. I've been saying this before you became chief again. I'm for it. I've been trying to get this done for years. Take the people that we don't have and reallocate that money. So I'm for it. What I'm not for is doing it in a haphazard fashion.
If we're reallocating, right? If we're reallocating, we're not making anything new.
That's right. But what you're forgetting is the pay rate goes up. No extra officers today.
Nobody gets any money today.
Where is the piece of paper that says that? That's part of the.
I think as the police chief standing before this body tonight and before this crowd of people tonight, I think my word should be my bond. I think if I need to put that right, I can put that in right. I can write it down
Chief,
right now.
anything we pass here at this table has to be in writing. It can't be because once it happens,
Put in a motion then, Mr. Anthony.
once it's been approved, well, see, the city attorney, that's what he was trying to take. He needs to draft it. We can't just.
One of the questions, y'all going back and forth, but one of the questions I have, I'm just looking at on my phone the other base pay ordinance. The base pay ordinance, you had a patrolman, the entry level was $23,426. I'm looking at 2019 base pay ordinance. Patrolman first class, $26,312. A corporal was $24,482. Sergeant, $26,000. Lieutenant, $26,750. Captain, $27,500. Assistant chief, $33,500. And chief, $55,000. I guess the question I was trying to see from the chief is, for each of these starting salaries, what are you asking the body for?
This line that you have proposed salaries, is that what you're saying on your base?
Yes.
Your initial base? I think that's what he's saying. So like the patrol entry level will be 35, first class 40, sergeant 45, lieutenant 52, captain. Well, maybe not those. Those are not.
And according to the base pay, how many, when you look at these, so you're looking at 5 patrolman first class, 5 entry level, 3 sergeants, 3 lieutenants, a captain, an assistant chief, and a chief. Is that correct?
Yes.
So you want a base pay drawing that reflects that?
Yes.
When you say entry level is what on there?
On this new one? Or the old one?
The old.
The old one for patrolman entry level, $23,426. on the proposed is 35,000. Now, we're just talking about the base pay. We're not talking about what's actually happening.
Right.
We're talking the past base pay from 2019.
And if I can,
But on his proposal here, he's showing what the actual is right now. Current salary for patrolman entry level $28,598, and patrolman first class is $32,422.
if I may, when I started as mayor, we were $1.2 million in debt. Then after we got here, we had water issues. We had a water increase proposal for you all. And we finally got passed, was able to get the water department where it should be, so we could handle things. So now that it's only been about 3 or 4 months that we've increased the rates, and we're getting some relief. You all have, most of these people been around the table as long as I've been mayor, except Mr. Messina. And trying to increase the rates, it took you all a while so we could get to where we're trying to get to now. When we raised the rates, folks came here and we took them back down. So we could have made some headway when we could have been paying our bills. But I think, it's a simple end game. And if I'm happy if you want to meet 4 times a month. I remember we used to meet, Ms. Davis, remember? When we met, we pulled the city out because we were showing finances. So I don't think it's kind of fair. When the ship go down, we all go down.
Hey, Chief, question, these 2 or 3 policemen that you think you can hire, have they already been to the academy?
Yes,
They've already been?
yes,
So they can start immediately?
yes.
All right, and about 2 months ago, I was in your office and we talked about raises for the police department. I'm in your corner. I just want to let y'all know. You said something about there were some funds available that was in Washington DC that was for y'all, that was strictly earmarked for this police department.
Cops grant.
We still hadn't been reimbursed on that. And that's some money we had. It's $1 million and we still hadn't been reimbursed on that. And we've been paying.
Didn't
So
you say that?
that's
Yes.
some of your
That money
money.
was supposed to be for y'all and for to go to the police department only.
Yes.
Where is it?
I think the mayor just said that.
It's sitting there.
It's in
The
Washington.
clerk can't draw it down. The treasurer has to do that. And it's been $1 million and we hadn't made not one draw. We paid, am I correct, Ms. Mills, $36,000?
Yes, sir, we paid 38,000.
Right. And it's $1 million been sitting there. So
So this is exactly what I'm talking about. If we have another source that would help to fund the incoming officers, we should be trying to figure out a structure that gets them on the ground as quickly as possible and how we can tap that source. And that's exactly why I said, wait a minute, just figure this out. What has the best structure so that we don't tank the whole city on payroll? I mean, literally, we have no money right now. We have to be honest. We can't impact our payroll. It's already too big. It's bloated already. So how do we shift around what we have? But if we have another source, we need to be talking about how to get that $1 million to fund them officers.
Mr.
And that defers the cost that he's trying to shift around.
So the money, it hadn't been paid in the past couple of years. So Miss Ramsey and I and Miss Mills had, because we almost lost it. Miss Mills, can you come up in reference to this?
Yes, sir. The city has $915,000. That is, you're absolutely correct. That's sitting in Washington, DC. We are in the process of drawing that money down. The city has not drew any money since 2022. That money that's sitting there, it's a match grant. So 75% of the officer salaries can be paid through that grant. The city is responsible for 25% of their salary. Because the policemen have already been paid from 2022 since the last draw. The funds that we are attempting to draw down now will be additional funds. I'm going to call it a reimbursement to the city because they have already incurred the 75% of the policemen's salaries that could be accounted for through that money. The reason why those funds have not been tapped into is because there has been a drastic change in the administration. Everyone that was on the grant to be able to assess those funds are no longer with the city. The grant administrator was listed as Miss Sandy. So Miss Sandy and I have been working with the Department of Justice to undo or to put the new people on the grant so that those funds can be accessed. We've had to work through the system. I'm just going to say now, once we get the performance reports completed and the financial reports completed, then we will be able to draw those funds down. We have not been able to do that, again, at no fault of ours, but it's simply because the previous administration's people were still listed as controllers of that grant. So now that we have that straightened out within the last week, so now we can have access to those funds. So the city can look forward to getting 2023's funds as well as 2024's funds. Questions?
Estimate about how much it would be? Just it can be an estimate.
I don't want to give an estimate. I'm uncomfortable with doing that.
Okay.
I can tell you that we do have an excess of $915,000 that is sitting there. Those funds must be expended by 2026. They are solely for the police department. Again, because those funds have already been paid out for 2023 and 2024, those reimbursement funds can be used by the city, however the city designates them. I did ask, would we be able to draw down all those funds at one time that we have not had access to? The response to that was yes. So I'm going to say probably within the next month, once we enter the performance reports and the financial reports, then we will have access to those funds. Yes, sir, Mr.
So
Messina.
all that money that we have will be strictly earmarked for the police department, period.
Yes, period. Those funds are strictly earmarked for the police department. Salary, their retirement, it is strictly for the police department. However, because the city has already paid their 2023 and 2024 salaries, then it would be at the discretion of the council how you all expend the funds the incoming funds that we have coming. We went through an audit in February of 2024 with the Department of Justice. We had to pay back $38,000. The payback was simply, it was a mistake. It was an oversight because at that time, assuming that the administration was new with the grant and how it was to be administered, they drew down 100% of the salaries versus the 75%. So the $38,000 that we had to repay was simply an oversight. So we got those funds paid back in July of 2024, and it has just taken us from that point to current to get the system worked out and to get the old people taken off because they still had the former chief, Patrick Smith, on there, Miss Helen Halbert, former Mayor Smith. So those are the people that were on there. So we didn't have access to those funds. However, now that all of that is straightened out, as I stated, once we complete the financial reports and the progress reports for the officers, then we will have access to those funds. And those funds are strictly for the police department.
So do you think maybe, I'm just thinking, do you think maybe we may just want to amend the motion to include pending the development of the base pay ordinance in the agreement of the council? That way you'll have that clause in there. So basically, what I'm thinking is, if we can do this, the attorney had to advise us, is that Joe, we can maintain Mr. St. Columbia's motion in the second, but maybe make an amendment to the motion to include pending, agreement of base pay ordinance for the police department or something, so that we're just all in compliant. So, Mr. Valley, is it possible that we could possibly, so we make the motion with the but amend it to say, pending the development of the police's base pay ordinance?
Actually, we've been discussing it here in the corner, the logistics of how we can accomplish what the intent of Mr. St. Columbia, the mayor, and Mr. Messina are, and reconcile that with the chief was saying, and that's what the three of us were over discussing.
Okay.
Because I think we're looking at base pay as relates to patrolman first class, because he's trying to get people that's already certified. And so we're looking at that group and what would be the starting salary. Your current base pay says $26,312. In his proposal, he wants them to start at $40,000, which is $19 an hour. Patrolman entry level is $35,000, which is $16.82 an hour. I just did a raw number where I divided that by 2,080 hours. That's all I did to come up with those numbers.
Okay.
But we were trying to practically see how to raise those two entry level positions.
Okay, that's good.
And what he was trying to do is get those hired as soon as possible, and then we look at the others, and we were trying to practically work out the logistics of that.
Okay.
Did that address your question?
I think so. We just might need to amend the motion. I mean, to include that. So I think
Dr. Miller?
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Excuse me. One of the things that I'd like to point out is during that audit, the February 2024 audit, we were cited for not having enough officers.
Yeah.
So in order to ramify that, what we had to post an advertisement that we were actively seeking to hire additional officers. So that is something that we do need to take into account, because it's one of the stipulations of the grant is that we have enough officers. And the grant covers 10.
We didn't have 10 officers. Okay. Yeah. So we need to do that.
I told him we didn't have any new money. It had to come
From
I
somewhere.
knew about the COP grant.
Yes, sir.
I knew we had that in reserve, and I was wondering why we weren't using it. Now, thank you very much for that explanation.
Yes, sir. From this point forward, once we access those funds, once we get the financial reports in and the performance reports from the current officers that we have, then those funds can be drew down on a monthly basis.
Okay, so we'll be back moving again. Let me ask you this. In that grant, is there any portion for administrative costs or anything of that nature? Or is it strictly for police officers?
I have not looked
Okay.
at that.
Okay.
And
And I'm asking that because I'm gonna say point blank in front of everybody. I think that you should get a raise. I think you should be paid more money than what you're getting paid. So that's why I asked that.
Thank you.
I inquired that. So, okay.
Thank you for bringing that up. I wholeheartedly agree, and I appreciate the consideration and it being brought up before the body.
Yes, ma'am.
I enjoy what I do. I love being able to assist the city and work and help research and actually bring funds for things such as the police department, the water department, and anything else we have lot of projects that's going on. And so I appreciate that. This is home for me.
Yes, sir. Ms. Mills, what is it? What is it? $25 million?
It's 25 million.
That's what she's brought to the city
It's
at
$25
$11 an
million.
hour.
So that's definitely something we need to do. Okay, so how do we need to move forward?
If I may, Mr. St. Columbia and Mr. Messina, you ordered the motion in a second. And having the sidebar with Chief Bell, what he was asking is for you to vote tonight to give him authority to advertise and hire people at these base pay rates of $40,000 for patrolman first class, which is $19 and some change an hour, and $35,000 for patrolman entry level, $16.32 an hour. And that on the 15th, we pass a base pay that shows that. And that he was saying it'd be 60 days before he's fully staffed, and we'll address on the 15th the salaries of everyone else. But we have a tacit approval that you're going to give pay raises to them, is what he was saying.
Okay.
And so is that your motion for us, for me to do a base pay, to change the salaries for the entry-level officers, patrolman entry level, $35,000 or $16.82 an hour. And for patrolman first class, $40,000, $19 and I think 23 cents an hour. And that I draw a base pay to bring on the 15th meeting. And that the chief is able to advertise and hire to fill those positions between now and then.
That'd be fine.
Mr. Messina, do you amend your second to reflect that as well?
I second that.
Okay. So we have the amended motion, the amended second. We would draft the base pay and we would authorize the chief to go out and advertise and hire the people at those rates immediately, but we would adopt the base pay on the 15th.
Okay, and you're assuring us that we do have money coming from the cops grant.
I am assuring you that you have $915,000 sitting in Washington, D.C., waiting to be accessed for the police department salaries. Yes, I am.
If that money stays in Washington DC, it won't do Helena, Arkansas any good.
Yes, sir.
Implement and get that done.
I do agree with you.
And we've got to cut out this overtime and have more officers to take care of the job that we need done.
Yes, sir. We have $915,000. And if it's any consolation, it has to be spent by 2026. So we're running out of time, and it is strictly for salaries.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. When we were cited by who'd you say, by the
Department of Justice.
Department of Justice, how many policemen were we supposed to hire?
10.
10. You got 10 lined up, chief?
Will we make that?
When we,
Like to increase the salary. We got 6 or 7 now, so it'll be at least 3 more.
no, we have to hire 10 more?
No, 10, at least 10 total.
The grant is not allowed to supplant, meaning the city has to have so many that it actually pays for, and then the grant will cover 10. So even if it's just 1 or 2, the city has to be responsible for their portion, and then the grant will cover the other 10.
So, and this grant has been here a while. I think some of y'all, we've talked about this, but my thing is this. There's a motion and a second on the floor. We got to vote on this. Madam Clerk.
Okay, if I may say one thing that I'll be adding to the minutes in order for clarification for the legislative audit. The next 11 officers that are brought in at first class or entry level will be coming in at the new rate. After those 11 are on board, the remainder of the officers, including the chief, their adjustments will be considered at that time. I want to make sure that that's in the minutes.
That's correct. That's the sidebar. We talked about
Yeah,
what
I just want to put it in the minutes right.
what I talked about structure. That's what we talked about down at the end of the table. So the entry level officers come in first.
Yeah.
Their arrival should defray overtime. Once the overtime is defrayed, then we address the officers who are already here. So that's the structure.
Okay.
Right. Madam Clerk?
Mr. St. Columbia?
Yes.
Mr. Messina?
Yes.
Dr. Miller?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Davis? Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Etherly?
Yes.
6 yes.
Thank you, Ms. Mills.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Chief Bell.
Thank you all so much tonight.
We got two other guests, so we can get to them kind of quickly. Go to page 10. On page 10, I have a memo from the clerk to me and Kendra Robinson about Living Waters Gospel Fest and Catfish Cooking. And I believe it's Ms. Faye Duncan Daniels has the permit request, which is on pages 11, 12, and 13. It's signed by the department heads, and I'll let Ms. Faye Duncan Daniels come and make her presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Ballard. The mayor, last year I came in all prayed up with nothing but a vision, hat in hand, need bowed. But I'm back now with a success story. Last year we had the Catfish Festival and our mayor was there and our police chief. It was tremendously successful. This year I'm asking the city not only to permit us to have that Catfish Festival and Gospel Festival again, but to support us with some staff and some help that we can clean up, advertise, even just to partner with us, because we're not bringing in a large amount of revenue, but we are bringing in revenue and we are new. So we're asking your support for our Gospel and Catfish Festival, July 26, 2025. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
I would say this, I'm for it, but I would also encourage you to reach out to Delta Culture Center. Before I left the Culture Center, before I ran out, whichever way you want to look at it, I wrote money for at least $50,000 for a gospel festival this year. So they have allocated funds. So I would go talk to them. I'm not saying they're going to give you $50,000, but there's funds in the Department of Heritage's budget to pay for a gospel festival because I wrote it in the proposal.
Well,
And
thank you, Dr. Miller. I will certainly take your
I would go
advice.
visit with them. And I'm saying that publicly on the mic so that it gets back to them.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. Any other questions?
Is there a motion to grant Ms. Faye Duncan that Mr. St. Columbia makes the motion to approve the permit? Mrs. Monica Davis second the motion. Any discussion? Ms. Davis second the motion, Mr. Messina. Yes, sir. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Davis? Yes. Mr. St. Columbia? Dr. Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Etherly?
Yes.
Mr. Messina?
Yes.
6 yes.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's fine. Talk to Carla Robinson. Carla Robinson. Yes. Good. Very good.
See. Six. All right, our next guest, he doesn't have a written presentation, but his agenda page is 150. And it's Reverend Roy Williams. He's the pastor of the Wofford Chapel Missionary Baptist Church, which is on Renee Street in former West Helena in the area of town called Pillar Hill Addition. And he's here to speak on possible honorary designation of that street in honor of a Reverend Goldsberry.
Thank you so very much.
Yes, sir.
May I rally into the honorable mayor and to this city. We have honorary several couple church streets in Helena, Beautiful Zion and Alex Smith. But Pillar Hill has kind of often been overlooked. Many young people does not know Reverend P.C. Goldsberry. I don't believe there would have been a Pillar Hill if it had not been for Reverend Goldsberry. Reverend Goldsberry made some of those streets with an axe and mules because they didn't have cars, efficient tractors and things to cut them, because the pillars had dedicated that part, and it was not in the city at that time. As the years went by, you all know they put it in the city. Some of it called Pillar Additional, some of us still call it Pillar Hill. So I felt that that family, which is almost is Pillar Hill, deserved that honor in remembrance of that man that I'm gonna say dug Pillar Hill out the woods. And what it is today because of him and his family. Now, not a lot of traffic out there. We don't ask for a lot, Cole. Pillar Hill don't get a lot of the city service like most part of Helena and West Helena. Because me and Billy Clyde kind of keeps the grass cut out there most of the time. But I'm asking this council if they would certainly consider that street in honor of Reverend P.C. Goldberry. Because like I say, he made that street out of the woods down through there and his family built on that street. And I hope you would consider that in his honor, because I think he deserves it. Thank you so much.
All right, if I could help Reverend Williams, on the honorary designation, what we would do is you would put an honorary street sign above the present street sign. So you're not changing the name of the street. It'd just be an honorary designation. And I believe there's 3 intersections. So you're talking about 3, maybe 4 signs that you would put up on that. It's just a straight strip from
Renee.
Yeah, I know Renee is the straight one. What's the it's the Railroad Avenue?
Railroad Avenue.
Yeah.
Railroad Avenue. Railroad.
Would the ceremony be?
Well,
y'all can
set a ceremony.
all
Okay,
y'all
I was
can
just wondering.
going way down the road. One of the issues that we still have, the planning commission, the ordinance was before them and they deferred it to this body, and this body has sat on it for more than 2 years. The planning commission was asking for direction as to definition as who would be qualified, what would be the fees, what would be the sign design, et cetera. And they had an ordinance that this body has had to the table, and this body has never come back to it. And that's the primary issue that we have is there's no ordinance that been passed. And prior to that, there was a moratorium that was issued until the ordinance was passed. And so part of the thing that the planning commission recommended was, I think, a $500 application fee, and you all just debated that, and you all said you all wanted lower. How the person is designated, what color the sign would be, the distinction, how displayed, all that was addressed in the ordinance, but it has not been adopted by the body. And so the planning commission was waiting on this body to adopt some criteria, and it has not been adopted by this body. That's where we are. And, excuse me, Pastor Williams called me several times. I told him that, and I mentioned that to the mayor, and I mentioned it to this body before, but I think the part of the issue, we need to revisit the ordinance so we can get the ordinance passed and everybody know the criteria. Because one of the things that was held up in it also, the ordinance that the planning commission recommended said that the signage would expire every 10 years and had to be a new application, et cetera. The council at that time was not willing to do that. And that was one of the things they said they would study and never came back to. But it was approximately 4 things that the council objected to, but they never gave any direction on.
Okay.
And so I would ask the clerk to provide all y'all with a copy so we can look at it and get it done. Mr. Pastor Williams has been diligent in trying to get this done. He thinks this is a great cause to recognize Mr. Pastor Goldsberry. And the issue is, until we have some direction, we can't get it done. And he likes this done as soon as possible. The ordinance done, and then we can have the authority to do it. previously we did not Pastor Kim Smith, Elder Alex Smith, Superintendent Smith.
Right.
And previously, right here at City Hall, that was the Mr. Wright. And thereafter, the Planning Commission took the issue up because so many people inundated and said they wanted the street names changed. And the Planning Commission took a lengthy discussion, weeks, months to do so, and then they did a recommendation up to this body, and it sat here since then. So the Planning Commission has been waiting on direction from the city as to what is going to be the criteria, how we do it, and the city had voted on the moratorium because so many different people wanted it, and there was no criteria as to how do we decide who deserves to be on it, and et cetera. And that's what we are.
There's a proposed ordinance in the packet, which has been in the package several times, that has not been discussed.
Is that what you have here on 152 to 156?
Yes, sir, but it's a draft that needs input, but it's,
Yeah.
yeah. It's dated August of 2024.
I haven't seen that ordinance. I'm not saying.
Yeah, but that was one that was before the end. That was one before the end.
I haven't
that
seen
was
the
there.
ordinance, but that doesn't mean.
The Planning Commission recommended up. Is
Well, I
that
hadn't seen the one from the Planning Commission, but we worked on this one and put it in the package so that we could have some discussion. Huh?
It's in this packet?
Yeah, on page 152.
Okay, thanks.
But this has been in several packets.
Okay.
Yeah. And, you know, that may be something you want to look over and come back without Mr. Williams having to come back.
Yeah.
So that you can approve it at that time without input.
Is this something that we can definitely put on the agenda, not for this next Tuesday, because that's strictly budget? Would that be something we could put on the next following agenda? I mean, just make sure we deal with this.
I'd be glad to talk about it in the budget. If we go to look at the fees, you know, I think they said that was kind of one of the sticking points.
yeah, the fees was
They
the
thought
major
500
sticking
was
point.
too high.
What should a
too high or too low?
what should a person? The Planning Commission felt that if they had criteria in that ordinance that said describe the type of person they thought was of significance, and that the fee should be something that was is an honor that's because the city has to pay for signs. And the fee should cover the signs. People should pay for the signs and all those things. So part of it was to cover cost of signs, part of it for other issues.
Okay.
But I'd have to go back and look at it. But,
So Ms. Miller, question.
and I think the Planning Commission has already voted on a previous ordinance. I don't think they have the ordinance from August 2024.
So Ms. Miller's question is, can we have this, put this on the 15th meeting so we can discuss it then without Reverend Williams coming back to address it? Is that correct, Ms. Miller?
I'm very supportive of this, very, very supportive. I just want to make sure that we deal with all of the questions that we have.
I would like the body to do something about, so we can go forward. Because part of the issue that the Planning Commission got complaints about was the streets that were named, they had the green signs and people were getting confused about where's Plaza versus, or Ladino versus Superintendent Smith Way or whatever the name. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I just don't recall what it says above that.
Yeah.
And then the other, as it relates to some of these on William Wright, the sign was missing. They looked like William Wright and people were getting lost. So the signage was part of the issue and the fees were part of the issue. But they had recommended signs like Memphis, whether it's like black and gold or
Yeah, I can see that.
something that was different to show
Yeah.
historical significance versus the regular street sign. So it's clearly
Yeah.
an honorary designation.
So can we do that? Can we go ahead and place it on
Certainly,
the
we can do that on
agenda
15th.
for the 15th? And that would give us an opportunity to iron out the color, the fee, the different distinctions and so on and so on.
Whether it would lapse and et cetera.
Yeah.
Do you think, does the planning commission need to go back and just kind of refresh their memories, or is this?
Well, I think they meet before the 15th. They meet the second Wednesday. Mhm. So the next meeting would be on the 9th.
Okay. Yeah, it might not be bad if they kind of talk, just kind of.
I'll ask them to put it on the agenda.
Do it. You don't need that.
They're gonna revisit this on the 15th,
Yeah, I think we can come back to it on the 15th
but they're not asking.
because we can't give the authority
Can.
until actually we
But
get
they're
the
not asking you
criteria.
to come back. You're welcome to come back. Are we done with Reverend Williams for tonight? Yes. Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Thank y'all so
much.
Because the ordinance also require petition, et cetera. I didn't mention that, but
Oh, a petition as well.
Mhm.
How many signatures?
the one that previously approved by the city council by the planning commission required a petition for them to lay out the historical significance, the narrative,
Gotcha.
and all those things. Is the hospital still here?
Okay. Since we're going to have a financial meeting, I don't know, is that on the 15th or the 8th?
8th.
We're gonna have another meeting next Tuesday night.
Yeah, that's what I have.
Oh, okay, okay. So what we should probably do at this point then is on these treasurer's reports, just note that they are part of the packet, that you got them, and then we can deal with those as a part of your finance meeting at that time.
Yes, sir.
And then the treasurer's not here either, anyway.
Mr. Valley, I'm under the impression that we're supposed to have a treasury report every month
Yes, sir.
and to give us our financial status, where we stand.
Yes, sir.
We're not getting that.
It's in this packet.
Yes.
Now, what he's told me is that every month he emails it to the city council members. Because I talked with him about what the clerk had referred us to, is that the auditors wanted us to make a notation in the minutes that it was presented to the city council in a council meeting. He told me that the law had changed several years ago and it just had to be presented to the city council at least monthly. And he said he was doing that by email. And so I asked him to include me on the email. And so once I get them, I attach them to your agenda and you get them in the packet. So one of the March packets had January in it.
Yes.
And this one has, or maybe it had December. And this one has January and February in this packet.
Yeah.
That's why it's so thick. You got a report for the water department for January, water and sewer, and then water and sewer for February. And then you got a department for, I would call general operations of the city, which includes the street, landfill, sanitation, general fund for each January and February in this package, part of this 204 pages. It starts at page 14 and goes all the way to page 139. It's the treasurer's reports. But we're gonna try to go through those on the 8th and give you some daylight on what we have. But I will, since you asked the question, I'm gonna turn to a page that was a liability that's been tossed around that you should certainly be cognizant of on the IRS and APRS and things of that nature. And the way the reports are set up, they reference the same liabilities each time. So if you go with me to page, I believe it is 34.
Page 34.
Yes. Yes, sir. You got it, Mr. St. Columb?
Yeah.
Okay, so midway the page, it says liabilities, current liabilities. If you just follow me down there, about item 6 or 7, it shows APRS, and this is for the month ending January 31st, 2025. It shows APRS 365, right at $366,000. If you journey on down about halfway the page, a little further, it shows IRS 941. 1.2, almost $1.3 million. And there's a LAFI in here too. It may be in alphabetical order. Yeah, just about 4 or 5 steps down, $365,000. And there's some other liabilities. I just wanted you to see what those are and kind of how, at least that's how I'm reading this report as to what it means. But at the same time, I wanted to take you backwards to a different liability.
I got it right here.
Um,
$2 million right there.
if we could go to page 18,
Page 18.
Watch this in a second.
we're going backwards. But I'm staying in January. In 18, I'm on page, wait a minute, let me wait. I'm sorry. We're on page 18, Mr. St. Columbia?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so on page 18, we're in the midst of the current liabilities, payroll liabilities for the water and sewer department. But if you look right middle of the page, it's got long-term liabilities. If you go up about 5 lines or so, or 4, my glasses are a little blurred. It shows due to sanitation,
$2 million.
$1.966 million. And so we got some liabilities that the city owes to others, and we got some liabilities that the city owes to itself. Somebody that needs to be moved around. And all of these things need to be addressed and dealt with. And part of the reason that I tried to get you all to do a payroll resolution, I was trying to get you to bring payroll to a head. And that is that what payroll should do on an ordinary basis is pay all payroll expenses at once, right? All of them. And if you have to do that, then it's going to crimp your style. You won't have money available for other things. And then you got to start either cutting some things or raising some fees. You got to do something different. But where you don't allow these liabilities to continue to grow, to get to be bigger numbers. And that wasn't what I was told to do tonight, but since y'all asked, I just wanted to point those 2 things out. And I'm hoping that I'm shedding some light on how you should be looking at these reports, because the treasurer tells me he sent these to you, and those numbers should have been growing every month. Now, I don't know if that's what you've gotten. I don't know any of that, and I'm not casting any light in any way on anybody. I'm just trying to be a good employee to the city and a good citizen of this community. And it's a tough position to be in. But, so that's on the treasury report. I just want to note that you got it. We'll talk about them on the 8th, if that's okay. All right, and then the next item, we tried to put this agenda in order. So we're at page 140. That's your minutes of the previous meeting.
We're gonna discuss all this next Tuesday night.
That's my understanding.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We're gonna go through the finance in more detail on the 8th,
Yeah.
and perhaps fashion some type of plan for
Yeah.
how we go forward. I pack it upside down.
40.
But I'll take this apart and I'll try to zip through the minutes. If I go too fast, y'all just tell me. But we met on the 18th at 6 o'clock, soon thereafter. There was a prayer and a pledge. We had 5 people in attendance. There was a motion to approve the minutes by Mrs. Monica Davis, second by Mrs. Maxine Miller. It was unanimously passed to approve the minutes. There was a presentation by Mr. Armando White, and as the minutes reflect, there was a brief dialogue and discussion. The dialogue was shut down because Attorney Alvin Sims was not present, and the attorneys in the room did not want to breach any ethical standards, so there was no action taken on Armando White. The Port Authority, no action taken on 1 vacant position. The Airport Commission, these positions were discussed. Joe, Howe, and Buff Brothers, and I need to spell that because I saw it spelled wrong. Joe, J-O-E, Howe, H-O-W-E, and Buff, B-U-F-F, Brothers, B-R-O-T-H-E-R-S, without any records showing when they were appointed. And just as a side note, that continues to be the case. The clerk has gone back and researched even further and could not find anything. The honorary street name for Reverend Goldsberry was tabled until tonight. Delta Sigma Theta, the Helena Alumni Chapter, made a presentation which required no action. There was a motion to approve a contract with Fuse Cloud for 3 years for phones, internet, and IT. The motion by Dr. Miller, second by Ms. Davis, voted unanimously, was passed authorizing the mayor to sign a contract with Fuse. There was a motion to approve a permit for Delta Circles to host Juneteenth event at Eliza Miller campus. It was presented by Noni Ashanti. There was a motion to approve by Ms. Maxine Miller, second by Mr. Joe St. Columbia. It was voted unanimously to permit them to host that event on June 21st, 2025 at 106 Miller Loop, the Eliza Miller campus. On appointments, the Housing Authority appointment of Ms. Monica Bennett, there was a motion to confirm, and she was unanimously confirmed by this body. Advertising and Promotion Commission, there were motions to appoint, which we eventually cleaned up to give each of these people the remainder of the 5-year terms that they were selected for. Mr. Staley, unanimous vote on the motion of Dr. Miller and second by Ms. Davis. And then on Matthew Harvey's motion of Ms. Maxine Miller, second by Ms. Davis, is unanimous to vote on that, or to approve that. There was a motion to approve a payment to Hawkins as an invoice of $5,203.65 as the funds become available. And it's for chemicals used in the treatment of water, some of them described as trade secrets. Motion by Ms. Davis, second by Mr. Etherly. That was unanimously adopted. Mr. Clarence Allen was here and made a brief presentation on potholes and street repairs. And then there was a motion to amend the 2025 budget to add an additional $10,000 to the line item for materials in the street department portion of the budget. Motion by Mr. Etherly, second by Ms. Davis. The vote was unanimous. The members of the city council requested a list of potholes and street cuts by location to assist with planning on repairs of each of them. And the motion was carried approving this amendment to the budget. Now, there was a motion to go into executive session by Dr. Miller, second by Ms. Miller. And then there was a motion to return to regular session by Ms. Miller, second by Dr. Miller. Then the city attorney said you need to state why you was going into executive session for hiring, firing, promotion, or demotion. And the answer was affirmative. So there was a motion to go back into executive session by Dr. Miller, second by Ms. Miller. And then there was a motion to come out of executive session by Mr. Etherly and by Ms. Davis, and that was unanimously voted. And no action had been taken in executive session, and no action was taken after the executive session. So the meeting was adjourned after 2 hours and 49 minutes, or 2 hours and 49 minutes after it began. And those are your minutes. We also have included the notes that our city clerk, Sandy Ramsey, takes to at least shed some light on more of the detail. The minutes are only a reflection of motions, seconds, and votes, but Ms. Ramsey's notes may give you some context for those votes.
I want to approve those minutes.
Ms. Sexton moved to approve the minutes as printed. Second,
Second.
Ms. Miller seconds the motion. Any discussion about the motion? Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Dr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. St. Columbia, Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Etherly,
Yes.
Ms. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Messina,
Yes.
6 yes.
All right. We're going to try to have a handbook update meeting, but we're going to reschedule that because you all have scheduled a city council meeting on top of that. And that handbook meeting would involve Ms. Davis, Dr. Miller, me, and some of the department heads. So we'll come back and see if another date is good after you all, after the 15th. So then, honorary street name and ordinance, of course, is in here that you already said you're going to deal with on the 15th. The job description committee, Ms. Miller, we're going to get you, we got 57 pages so far. We're going to share those by email. If you need them printed, just let us know. We'll get them to you. Then we got confirmation of airport commission appointments. I've given the update. I don't know if there's anything else Madam Clerk wants to add, or Mayor Franklin.
Ms. Ramsey, I think the two appointments, I think we're gonna just go with one appointment. So I want to see if there's a motion to accept Paul Rydell to replace Buff Brothers for the airport commission.
And when you say replace Buff Brothers, has the city attorney given an opinion on Buff Brothers' status?
I was waiting on Madam Clerk, you were checking the old West Helena records as well.
I went back into the 80s, and I couldn't find anything on Mr. Howe or Mr. Brothers back before, way before consolidation.
Okay.
Now, I did receive a call from somebody,
I received a call, Mr. Schiffler, saying that our ordinance says that those who are already there, they were approved. But the question that we asked
Yeah.
Ms. Ramsey, based on Mr. Schiffler's phone call, is go back and look at West Helena and see was West Helena approved anybody. And that's the research that she was addressing just for, I wasn't trying to cut you off, but I was just
No,
trying
that's
to.
fine, not after consolidation, because this.
No, before, she went all the way back to
Before-
1980.
before- Okay. This person claims that Buff was read in right after consolidation. I don't have anywhere to verify that. That's just what I was told. So I don't know if it's worth checking into, or if he has any type of documentation to prove that.
I guess the question, Chief of Staff was the mayor. Do you recall?
What's the question? I didn't hear you.
Do you remember any reading in of Buff Brothers or any of Mr. Schiffler right after consolidation?
Mr. Schiffler wasn't right after consolidation.
Okay.
I appointed Mr. Schiffler when I was the mayor.
Okay.
But nobody else that I recall.
Okay.
And what they traditionally did, I think they let people, when people left, you replaced them. So they didn't have a real active, my term is up, I need to be reappointed type thing. And so I know that Mr. Schiffler made reference to the black book we adopted when we consolidated the cities, putting all the laws of the new city into effect. And one of those laws said that the members of the airport commission shall continue, right? But that would apply to the West Helena people, because all of the Helena people were stripped off because Helena no longer existed. So there should have been a reappointment of, if they were already there, a reappointment of them, or just an appointment of them. And I think that's what the legal issue is that somehow got lost in the shuffle.
Right, and what we asked the clerk to do was check, okay, show us something that either one of them were approved by West Helena. And there was nothing there, and she already checked Helena and didn't see anything there, so.
Yeah, because now if they were approved by West Helena, they would have continued.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Right, and so that's the issue, when she was speaking to, she went all the way back to 1983. And that's what we were trying to be responsive to the question that was asked, Mr. Schiffler.
Okay, so I guess I'm sort of muddying the water a little bit too, because what was shared with me is that his airport commission was a joint member of both Helena-West Helena, confirmed by both Bill Kelly's position,
Bill Kelly?
who was also confirmed as the joint commissioner from Helena and also West Helena.
What year was that? Does it
Is
say?
that, I don't know, and I guess I'm just making sure that,
Yeah.
we throw out all of the information that we have.
Right, I
mean,
understand.
They may have memories, but the statute already required it to come before the council. And the issue is, it may have been, they said, hey, you be on the planning commission, and they did their thing, but they were never approved by the body, so they were never appointed by the body. And that's what we're asking the clerk to check the official records of the city to see, okay, where the mayor make a nomination and council ratifies. Mr. St. Columbia's been adamant that we have to have, we ratify. And so there will be a vote for minutes or something, and Madam Clerk has checked the minutes going all the way back 1983, and that hadn't happened in a formal meeting. And that's the issue.
Okay, we're taking an action on that. We're moving on.
Still, it's the council to approve Paul Rydell to replace Buff Brothers.
Let me ask you this, is it?
Ms. Davis moved to accept Paul Rydell to replace Buff Brothers. Is there a second? Mr. Anthony seconds the motion. Any discussion?
I just one quick question. I heard, I don't know if this is in our pack, I should know, but is Mr. Rydell also seeking to purchase or rent or lease the airport? And the reason why I asked that, I mean, either here nor there, for me, that could be a conflict of interest if he's also serving on as a commissioner.
No.
Is he what? What's the question, Doctor?
I think there was some talk about him possibly having interest of leasing the airport. I don't know. We can vote on whether we want to do that or not, but
Yeah.
I was just thinking about, would that be any type of conflict of interest
And
if he was
that's
also
something to
serving on the board?
be discussed. I don't know, and then I don't know if it's Paul or Darrell. Paul is the one that's up for appointment.
Okay.
Darrell is his dad, and maybe trying to
Okay, so
do it.
that might be-
But right now, if my memory is right, Mr. Buff Brothers is like on your commission and the airport manager
I got you.
at the same time. And, you know, you have situations like that in small communities.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Motion second on the floor.
Call the roll, quick.
Ms. Davis?
What's the motion?
The motion is
Paul
to
Rydell.
appoint Paul Rydell to replace Buck Brothers on the Airport Commission. Ms. Davis? Dr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Messina?
Yes.
Mr. Etherly?
Yes.
Mr. St. Columbia?
Abstain.
Ms. Miller?
Abstain.
4 yes, 2 abstentions.
All right.
Motion, well, no,
Huh? You gotta have 5 to confirm.
gotta have 5 to confirm.
So it fails. On page 162, you don't necessarily have to go there, but this is something we need to deal with in a long-term perspective. We should have dealt with it a long time ago. But island annexation, we have, I think it's 5 islands in the city limits. So the city totally surrounds these areas, and the city council can, by ordinance, bring those areas into the city limits. They already being provided, it's my understanding, city water, sewer, police, fire, all of that stuff. But they're not on city tax rolls. One of those areas, of course, is Griffin Valley. There's an area, includes the country club. There's an area out by Rusty's at, what's that, Quarles Lane and 4th Street.
Don't we cut the country club? Do we cut the country club's grass? We don't cut their grass, do we?
No.
Okay.
Not that I know of.
Okay.
But, so that's something that I think you take time to get feedback from people on, but it's something you should seriously consider, and that's why it's in there. The island annexation, that you got these islands within the city, and I think they should be in the city limits.
In this, do they have opportunity like a town hall meeting? I don't know what the process is. Town hall meeting or?
I believe it's just kind of up to the city council how you want to deal, because you'll be adopting an ordinance.
Okay.
And so you can have a town hall meeting if that's what you'd like to do.
I think it's a good idea, but
And
I don't know how controversial, maybe nobody cares.
Right, I'm not saying be in a hurry necessarily.
Right.
This ain't something you're being
Until the-
pushed to do, but it's something you should
I'll
consider.
research the issue.
And one of the things you're gonna hear is people saying that they promised us they would never annex. You're gonna hear that. And I don't know who they are or any of that, but I've heard that over the years.
Yeah.
That we were promised we would never be annexed.
What's from their standpoint, what's the advantage of not being a part of the city? I don't know if you can answer.
I don't think anybody ever shared that with me.
Oh, okay.
The advantage of being surrounded by the city but not a part of the city, I don't know.
Okay.
Because they get city water, city sanitation.
Right, and
I think our police department responds, certainly our police department responds in terms of quickness sooner than our sheriff department does.
Sure.
the planning commission have been concerned about.
Do they pay taxes? They pay taxes?
Not city taxes.
They pay county taxes, but not city.
Right.
Okay.
The planning commission concerned because it's an island within the city. In question, we've had houses, cars, and all those sorts of things that we have not been able to do anything with because they're outside the city limits. And so
The house out by Delta A-Head, what's it now? UAMS? The cars on the side of the highway that we've never been able to monitor those. because
Right,
they're technically in the county.
correct.
Well, they might not. That's why I'm thinking, he was saying that some people might not want to be annexed. I don't even know if anybody would come or not, but just a town hall meeting, let people voice their concerns.
I mean, what you could probably do is what's some thing we have?
Public hearing.
A public hearing, yeah, public hearing.
Set a public hearing in May or June or something. I'm saying,
Yeah.
heard.
So that people,
Right.
they can come and share if they.
Right,
maybe
because
we look-
the issue is, this doesn't require citizens vote, it requires the city council, because it's an island within the
I
city.
understand.
If the city already has a legal description, if
Yes,
the
sir.
city council votes for it,
Yes,
that's
sir.
the end of it.
Yes, sir. I just want to hear from them to see.
I understand.
Don, do you have any, I'm not trying to call you out, but Don, you've been here a while, do you have any thoughts?
We've been talking about it for years. Yeah, I think
Right.
it should have been done years ago.
Okay.
Since we
Monica, you
consolidated
feel the same way, or? Okay.
December 30th, 2005, it's been tabled, basically. It's been addressed.
Okay.
We recently got a new legal description for it to make sure that the body could look at it, but this has been an island within the city.
Yeah.
And the
So
city
how about we just have public hearing and then after that, vote it up, vote it down? Or?
Yes, sir.
Right,
So we'll set one for
right.
sometime in May.
I don't have
How
any
about that?
opinions either way. I don't have any opinions either way.
Okay.
I don't know enough.
So then, we got roughly 17 minutes before 8 o'clock. If we could look at, there's a DRA grant on 171. Ms. Mills, do you know whether we've adopted this already? It said DRA grant on
Yeah, that's what we're
171,
talking
that's
about,
not
public
right.
hearing.
Yes, it is.
We probably need to say that in a motion. Hey, Mr. Dow,
Yes, sir.
not to be out of order, but do we need to put that in form of a motion, maybe putting something in the paper or notification with the stating, a town hall meeting?
Oh,
I mean, I know we don't have dates or any of that yet. but-
no, you don't have to, but what I would do is we would set a public hearing before your council meeting, like you've done other public hearings.
Okay,
So let's say on the second meeting in May,
okay.
you would have the public hearing before it, or June, whichever
Okay.
month y'all
Say
prefer.
June?
Yeah, and then we can advertise it,
Okay.
we need to advertise at least 2 weeks before that.
Okay, so can I put that in form of a motion?
I mean, you can, I don't think you have to, but you can.
Does that not need to be put in form of a motion?
I didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
It was a
Request
motion
for
to hold a
town
public
hall
hearing.
meeting,
Oh, yeah,
public
that's all,
hearing.
that's what they do, have a public hearing, a
Okay.
motion to have a public hearing, set a date and time, and
We're saying like the second, the meeting before the June meeting, or the meeting before the second June meeting? Is that what you're saying, Mr. Rowe? The meeting before the second meeting in June, or the first meeting?
Oh, that's fine with me.
Okay,
so you're saying like, typically we have right before the city council, like at
Yes, sir.
5 o'clock.
yes, sir.
I've got a communication says, I know for sure, Sunridge, we do have city sewer and city trash.
Okay.
Okay.
So
So
beneficiaries
that's on the backside of the country club.
beneficiaries of the,
Yeah, so we set it for the public hearing for let's say 5:30 before the second meeting in June.
that sounds good. Yes, I think that is what he was saying. It was.
Right. So y'all doing that by acclamation, or you all?
Kyle is making the motion, and I think Adrian seconded. Is that right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. So the motion on the floor is to have a public hearing in the second meeting in June at 5:30 on the issue of annexation of the islands that already exist within the city that were consolidated. There's no zoning or anything because there are pockets within the city.
Address or just say islands?
We can have the map.
Huh?
We can have the map. We have a legal description in the map. We have a legal description and a map.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you have to notify those property owners by law?
We will in advance of that meeting.
Yeah.
Make sure we're gonna put it in the paper, and then we'll send a letter to all of them notifying of the public hearing.
Right. So there's motion in a second, Mayor.
Dr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. St. Columbia, Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Etherly,
Yes.
Ms. Davis, Mr. Messina,
Yes.
6 yes.
Okay.
All right.
Procedurally, we need to revisit one thing. The mayor says his right to vote was not considered on the 4-2 motion relating to Mr. Rydell. and he wanted to cast a vote and have me research whether in this limited instance, his vote can be counted. The mayor can vote in some circumstances and not in other circumstances, but he wanted the clerk to the minute to reflect that he wanted to cast a vote as relates to the appointment of Mr. Rydell to the Airport Commission, and asked I, as city attorney, to research the issue whether his vote can be cast in the situation.
I'm gonna vote yes, Madam Clerk.
Okay.
So he is confirmed.
I will research and I will also reach out to Municipal League so we can give you all a written opinion relating to whether his vote can be counted under the circumstances.
All right. Now, if we could go to page 172. I'm thinking we had this, and it disappeared. I think we had this resolution before, but I don't know if we adopted it. But it's the DRA resolution. Ms. Mills, do you know whether we've adopted this motion, this resolution?
We voted for this,
I believe so, that we have.
I think we voted for this. Didn't we go through this in the last meeting? This looks familiar. It looks familiar.
What happened?
Madam Clerk, do you know whether we've adopted this one?
It would have been, yes, sir, you would have adopted it back in February.
I think we did.
We adopted it in February.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Well, then no action to be taken on that. And then there's a bill we need approval on.
That was basically permission to write for the DRA grant.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we
Yeah.
passed it.
There's a bill on 185 and 86. Henry Utilities is like $20,000 for water meters. And Mr. Rose is here to update you as needed. Not necessarily about this invoice. And he has another invoice that he just got today. And we can, if you can consider it tonight if you want, or we can put it on the 15th. But this invoice for Henry is $20,009.90. And much of this is going, if my memory is correct, into the new houses on West Street and North Meadowbrook. There's 10 new houses on North Meadowbrook, 3 new houses on West Street, and we ordered new items for them. And as part of the new setup, they paid $10,000 to $12,000 or some number, I forget what it is. Quite a bit of this, and all of this ain't going to them. Some of it's going to other places. So the fees that they paid actually going to cover most of this invoice. Is that right, Mr.? And that's based on those new fees y'all imposed last year. What page? 186. On page 186, I'm sorry. It's a Henry Utility Products. But it's basically for meters and items of that nature needed to provide water service to those new homes that are being, they're just about through.
Yes, sir. It's 10 new water lines.
13.
13.
It's 10 single-family homes and 3 duplexes. The 3 on West Street are duplexes, so it'd be 16 living quarters total. But 3 duplexes on West Street and 10 units on North Meadowbrook, which means the side right behind Sears. South Meadowbrook is the side next to New Haven.
Mr. Valley, we want to make sure that those street cuts they made over there, we need to reach out to them, make sure they take care of them street cuts. We won't pay.
Yes, those street cuts are pretty rough.
Yeah. No, so not a water. They cut the street to run the water meters.
Run the sewer line.
Run the sewer line. So they're gonna replace. That's what I'm asking now that they replace that back with concrete asphalt. We got an ordinance that's asphalt.
Right. The one thing that we have to do is ensure that code enforcement does not issue the certificate of occupancy or final approval until they repair the street.
Okay.
Who's that? Who's the they?
That's Mr. Cal Woodridge and Miss Lakeisha Williams. You talking about code enforcement?
Yeah, I mean, no, not code
No,
enforcement.
the builder.
The bill, they repair. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're the ones who did it. They supposed to repair the street.
Okay.
The builder.
I got some phone calls from over there.
Okay.
These
So
the same people that run Christopher Homes, or on Christopher Hall? Is this the entity behind it?
What's that?
The new meters in the new housing. Is it the
This for
same?
Meadowbrook.
No, Meadowbrook, not
Meadowbrook,
Christopher.
next to New Haven Church.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's not. I
Oh,
know-
it's the same people that manage it or something? I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know who the owners or managers are.
okay.
I just know they said they got a waiting list
I'm sure,
for those houses.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
New house.
So can we get a motion and a second to pay this $20,009.90 as the funds become available to the water department for these supplies?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion by Dr. Miller, second by Brother Etherly to approve the Henry Utilities invoice on page 186 of the city council packet, Mr. Mayor.
Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, you call the roll, please.
Mr. St. Columbia,
Yeah.
Mr. Messina,
Yeah.
Dr. Miller,
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Davis, Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Etherly,
Yes.
6 yes.
Okay, and then, Ms. Mills just informed me that we need permission to apply for the Helena Health Foundation grant for our landfill in the amount of $86,850, and for the Helena swimming pool activities for this summer in the amount of $35,533.30. And those applications have been submitted today. So if we could just have a motion to approve.
Is there a motion to approve, to Helena Health Foundation for the landfill and for the Helena pool?
So moved.
Mrs. Miller moves to approve the grant for, applying for the grant for the Helena Health Foundation. Mrs. Davis, second the motion. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Etherly,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Ms. Davis,
Yes.
Dr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Messina,
Yeah.
Mr. St. Columbia, 6 yes.
Okay. We have, I think it was handed to you tonight, the state of the city. The mayor's required to do that. I'll provide that to you within X number of days of the first of the year. I think we're timely with that. And it's typed in, it's about 3 or 4 pages here. Of course, it highlights grants from Delta Regional, Arkansas Economic Development, Arkansas Natural Resources, and other things accomplished, including our ISO rating being a class 3 in the city, which puts our fire department in the top 10% within the state. And that we're trying to function as a team and organize, a group, organize to work together. So I won't read that specifically to you, but we'll get it laid out where people can have access to it and see the state of the city address. We have Miss Jackie, I can't pronounce her last name. Huh? Yes. So she's not on the agenda, but I know why she's here. And that's one of the bills I told you Mr. Rose had. The pump station, the lift station at Liza Miller has been failing over and over, and it's causing problems. She's the manager of Twin City Manor, and it's causing problems where sewer was backing up into the manor. She had a paraplegic person in one of those, couldn't get out of the sewer and all of that. And at some point, once we get this resolved, she's going to want the city to do something to make right what has happened with her residents and what. And I can't speak for her. You want to come and just briefly, because you're not on our agenda and they got just a minute. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate it. My name is Jacqueline Udenzi. I'm a community manager at Twin City Manor. We've been having some issues with the pumps, breaking down constantly the last, I would say, 6 months. Recently, there was a backup, and our paraplegic, she cannot clean up for herself. She needs support in cleaning. She has a home health aide who assists her, but the sewage backup has been causing problems with not only her apartment, but 3 apartments, 3 units on the bottom floors. Consistently, we've been placing them in the hotel rooms. We've been providing sanitation, cleanup through Delta Carpet. But I want to find out, what is the goal, and when will you have something definite as to when this problem will be rectified? Not temporarily, but permanently. When can you have the pumps permanently repaired? This has been going on for a while. I've been there for about 2.5 years. And since I've been there, we've had some incidents, especially during heavy rain. The sewage backs up, flooding in the units. I have a lot of pictures to account for that. But I'm just concerned about the tenants and the sanitation and the safety of those tenants and the health of those tenants. So I just want to find out details about that. Thank you.
And go ahead.
If I may, me and Mr. Rose did address your issues. I mean, we've talked to you. Am I correct, Mr. Rose? You can come forward, Mr. Rose. We both spoke to you. We told you that it is now 2 pumps, because you said that 1 pump broke down. We made sure that we put 2 pumps. So if that pump failed, another pump would pick up. Am I correct, Mr. Rose?
Yes. So,
So I want you to acknowledge we did speak to you on that, and we did give you some resolution. Ms. Jackie, am I correct?
I don't think there's been a resolution because
we gave you the plan until we get that part fixed. But we did tell you, I and Ms. Rose did tell you that there's 2 pumps back there now.
well, you did tell me that there were plans, but you didn't have anything definite.
But the pumps are back there now. In case one fails, another one picks up. Mr. Rose, come forward.
Yeah,
We did speak to you about that. Am I correct?
Hold on, one second.
Yes.
One thing I need you to do for the clerk
Okay.
and for the newspaper. Say your name and spell it so we get it right.
My name is Jacqueline, Jacqueline. Last name Udenze, Udenze.
Okay.
And the pump, I don't know about the structure itself, but I know the pump continues to have problems when it rains heavily. And when the pump consistently breaks, they'll buy another pump, and then that pump breaks within a couple of weeks. This has consistently been going on for a while, Mayor. And Mr. Rose, he can address it, but I don't think it's been repaired.
What I was trying to get you, that we had talked, and since that has happened, we have been, it's not like we have, I don't want you to make like we have not addressed your issue, because
Okay.
we have. And I
Understood.
want you to acknowledge that we have done that, and Mr. Rose was gonna give you a long-term plan, but we did acknowledge that what was going on, and we told you the plan. Am I correct?
You said you had a plan.
No,
but
I'm just
you
wanting
did
you to
tell me
agree.
that
It's-
it's permanent. You know, I want something
Well,
permanent, not temporary.
Well,
If-
until we, excuse me, sir, you want something permanent.
Yes.
We're working on something permanent. But
Okay.
right now, that is the plan right now. And I feel, because I don't want the people to think that we didn't address your issue. That's what I'm trying to get you to
I
admit that we're,
understand that.
it's kind of,
well, let me speak on this. So we have a short-term, intermediate, and long-term permanent plan that's in effect. And so the short-term was what we discussed with actually having a double bypass pump system set in place. And so one of the primary issues has been the equipment that's been sent to us with replacing the existing equipment has been faulty. It's been mechanical errors. It's basically, we even got a pump that we sent off returned to us, and it was the same pump. And so for those discrepancies, Xylem has actually discounted a double bypass pump system setup that we never had at any type of station, but is ran on floats to where if one pump goes down, we got a backup pump to catch it. That's short term. So when we have heavy rains, because that's usually when these pumps have mechanical issues, is when a higher flow comes through the station, that is immediately addressed with just making sure we have a bypass setup ready to go already. And so that's going to help with the overflow issue that's been, it's been terrible, you know, and that's something that is not acceptable. And I think we have a better short-term plan moving forward with just making sure that's not happening again. And so intermediate, as this has been going on, I'm noticing there is possibly line backup between the pump station and that apartment units. because I've been working on this particular station for about 3 years now, and it's just seemed to be getting worse. As soon as we have a rain and that pump shuts down, I mean, what is it, an hour, 30 minutes? She has overflow issues. And so I had to look deeper further into this to see that there is definitely some outside issues out of the pump station that has to be solved as well, that I can go into detail when we have more time. Okay. Now, permanent fix is what me and Valley discussed briefly. I basically went through and quoted everything that's needed to get that station operational again, to where we're not running it on a double bypass pump system. And from my knowledge, this station has not been in operation before I came here, and maybe years before that, maybe 6 or 7 years, the station hasn't been running effectively the way it needs to run. It can't run. And so I would kind of like to have more time to present this in a finer fashion on just the cost and what it's going to take. But roughly, to get all the parts that we need for the station to operate mechanically, it's around about $13,000–14,000. But this is not including electrical. And so there's actually a need for a what we call a VFD to operate and be able to power both pumps. That's needed as well. And they roughly cost between let's say $8,000 to $10,000 a piece. And we may need 2 VFDs. And so if we look at that, we're looking at maybe about $30,000 to $40,000 to get that station fully operational. And then presenting a maintenance plan to where it is running acceptable, it's running the way it needs to run, and it's being serviced properly to where it's not breaking down, because that's the issue we're having at these pump stations that fortunately I don't have time to really talk about. It's just making sure when we do have the parts in place, we have the manpower and the know-how to really make sure that these stations are not shutting down and just something randomly happening as they do. And so that kind of speaks to the permanent plan, because basically with us is making sure, yes, we have bypass pumps now, but with that station being fully operational, problems like that will not be happening.
So can you please, as soon as you can, get us I know you gave us an approximate estimate. Give us that to us so we can look.
Yeah, for sure. Like I say, I have the quotation and kind of the outline of just what basic costs that we have here. And so I really would like to present this on each station, to be honest. So it's not like I'm just,
We got another out there. Literally, we need to replace as well.
Yeah, exactly, right.
One of the issues I think Mr. Rose has addressed, this is a portion, this is a large issue, but it's really a small issue as it relates to the overall sewage plan that we have to get done according to the consent administrative order.
Exactly.
And so it's not just the issue there at that station. The mayor mentioned Lithicum, the other areas in the state has told us to get our sewage done. We start on the water, but we haven't got everything done on sewage, and we're looking for engineering plan on that, and that takes a while. Now, to address the full issue, I think that he addressed the temporary issue. The permanent issue will become as part of engineering plans and as part of the overall scope that the state approved plan to cover the entire breadth of the sewage, everything from every location, et cetera. And then we still need funding to do that as well, because we've been dealing with the funding on water. We still need funding on sewer. And so those issues, Ms. Mills is working on, the mayor's working on, chief of staff, and Mr. Rose has been working on, and the engineering firm, so that we can move forward to try to get a more comprehensive solution throughout the city.
Thank you, Mr. Rose.
Thank you.
All right, one, was there something in there? One last thing, we got those 3 trucks in the shop in Memphis. And at this point, what I'd like to ask you all for permission to do is for the mayor to meet with the local bank, present to them what we have, and see if they would finance the repair of those vehicles on such that we can amortize it. Because they're all asking for big chunks of money up front and all this stuff. And it's from a money management standpoint, it's just going to be difficult to do that. But your trucks are just sitting there now. You got a grapple truck and 2 front-end loaders that are in the shop in Memphis.
What are the year models of those?
I think the front-end loaders are 18, and the grapple truck is a 15, I think. And the clerk is nodding her head that I'm correct on those.
Any ballpark estimate of how much that it is for those 3?
I think the grapple truck was mid-50s. One front-end loader was mid-50s, but I don't remember the third one.
To fix it?
Yeah. What is that, Madam Clerk?
It came up close to 158 for the 3 of them.
158,000.
That's if nothing else is found wrong with it.
Yeah, now of course, just approved paying for about $400,000 truck, and so you spend. So right now you're just running at 1, and you're gonna.
And we just bought this truck?
No.
Yeah, so we did just buy a brand new one, but the 2 old ones that we had are in the shop in Memphis, and we're running it all the time by itself. And when we busted the oil pan a few weeks ago, we didn't have a truck at all. But fortunately, they fixed it quickly and we got it back on service in less than a week. Yeah.
You know, Chief of Staff, that's something that I'm hoping that, you know, we start looking at reports from our heads and things like that. You know, I would like a clear understanding of our inventory. I mean, because, you know, sometimes I'm thinking we're talking about not, this is no slam. I mean,
I understand.
it's just, it would help me visualize, you know, because I get a little confused when I'm thinking, okay, I thought we bought this, I thought we bought that, you know, but this is in the shop and it's, you know, it's just, you know what I'm saying? Like if we had a very clear inventory report, every single part, like, this is what we have, this is what, you know, whatever. I think that would help us to sort of, it would help me to be kind of keep in order what we don't have.
I understand.
That's
Because
kind of a budget.
it's a job for me to keep up with it, and I see them, you know, on a regular basis. Yeah. And then on that, we'll come back to Hernando Street. I promise you, Ms. Davis. But if we could have permission to explore those options, because I don't think we will have the money to fix these trucks. And they're saying, yeah, yards.
I can. But for our local, yeah, I'll give me permission to do that.
Huh?
Are these vehicles paid for?
I can't hear you.
Are these vehicles paid for?
They are. They're debt free.
Okay.
Except for what we owe them shops where they are.
Okay.
Yeah. That right, Madam Clerk?
One more payment on the garbage truck that's up there.
Okay.
Yeah, what?
You got one more payment on the garbage truck that's financed from Southern.
Yeah, but it's here. That's not the
Oh, is
truck
that
he
the
asked.
one here?
That one is in operation. That's
Oh,
not the one
okay.
he's asking
We don't
about.
have anything up there.
So the grapple truck is paid off and the 2
Yeah.
front end loaders, they're paid off.
Okay.
Yeah. We got a $93,000 payment left on the truck.
80,000.
80,000.
80,000.
Hold on. I got one question. And I may be confused, but we talked about a finance meeting on next Tuesday.
On the 8th.
I thought we talked about a water only meeting at the last meeting. I thought somebody asked for a water only meeting. Did I miss that? Did you?
I thought it was finance.
No, I asked for a budget meeting,
Well, I mean, I know we talked about
but
budget,
specifically about the water too.
but I thought somebody asked for water. Well, I'd like to have
Mr.
a,
Rose wants to have a water only meeting.
he to have a
He
water.
wants to have a
Okay,
water
well, I
only.
want to have a water only meeting too.
Yeah.
And so can we set a tentative date to do that? I mean, assuming everybody else wants to do it.
Yeah.
But are you saying that I want the council also to have an extra meeting a month since we're tight with finances? I remember when we met years ago, once a month about finance, we got things together. That puts the treasurer, that puts all of us in place to see what we can do to combat this debt. because laying off people may not be the solution. You got something else to do. So as a team, as I put, we gotta get some resolution and we gotta work together. So I'm gonna see if you all be committed to an extra meeting a month to talk about finances and other issues so that everything be laid out so you all can see it, so you can see what we're doing. So I want to open the door to you all. So I would like for you all to commit with Mr. Ethel is a meeting about water and meeting about finances.
I mean, I guess my question was, I'd like to have a water only meeting. Does anybody else want to have a water only meeting?
Yes.
And if so, do we need time to set it, or do we want to set it later, or do we want to try to set it now?
Go ahead and
Do
set
it
it.
on the 22nd, since we're already meeting about the budget in general on the 8th.
That's
And then
fine.
we have another, do we have, we have another meeting on the 15th? No,
We got a regular meeting on the
a
15th.
regular meeting, okay.
22nd is fine for me.
Okay, so
So it's gonna be every Tuesday this month.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Looks like.
Okay.
So we're gonna have the finance meeting as well. Am I correct?
Yes, sir. That's gonna be
That's
next
right.
week.
Water meeting on 22nd.
That'll be on the next.
I mean, I did Ms. Mills, I'm sorry.
Mayor, you're fine. I'm not on the agenda, anything like that, but since we are talking about finances and meetings, I would like to request of the council your permission to meet with the mayor, the chief of staff, and Attorney Valley, because everything surrounds finances. And I have done due diligence to bring finances into the city. It's been said here tonight, I brought in $25 million plus. We have a wastewater problem. The same amount of funding that we have secured for water, we're gonna for wastewater, if not more. And so I like to request to speak with the mayor, the city attorney, and the chief of staff. I do realize that finances are a problem. But I, as your grant administrator, something is going to have to be done. I cannot continue to function off of $11 an hour. So I would like to request your permission and ask you all to begin to contemplate, to think about how I can be addressed in everything else that we have going on. Yes, this is home. I love home. I love what I do, and I'm pretty good at what I do. And I would like to continue to do it for the city. But also, I need for you all to help me so that I can continue to help you. So we have wastewater issues. We have drinking water issues. Those drinking water issues can now be addressed for the citizens, because that $25 million that we have been awarded through grants and loans, that money can only be used for drinking water, clean, safe drinking water for our residents. So the line distribution, the Helena-West Helena tanks, putting in new wells, all of those things have been written and approved through Arkansas Natural Resources, Delta Regional Authority, East Arkansas Economic Development. We have money for that. We have no money to address our wastewater, stormwater, sewer problems. We don't have money for that. And so I want you all, as you go forward, start thinking about that. Because our financial problems, yes, we have them. There is funding out there that can be found to help us with that. So if you all will allow me to help you with that, I will be more than happy to do that. But by the same token, I have to be compensated in such a manner that is fair to me. And as of right now, it is not fair to me. I am simply working because this is home and I love home. And so going forward, I just want you all to think about that and to please bear that in mind as we go forward, because I'm going to do the best that I can for Helena. Just be fair to me. Thank you.
Okay, got one last thing. Was Roosevelt Eden in the back of the room? That's me. I looked at the agenda. I didn't know that I had done that. And if I did, it's my error. He said he had spoken to Miss Sandy about it. And I don't even know what the topic is, but do you,
His status,
his status?
his status. Status. His work status.
Yes, his work status.
I have not spoken to her. I don't. And that would require executive if we're trying to talk about this. I was not aware on the agenda.
The speak with
So for the 15, I said for you all to review. That's a progressive one coming to address you on the 15.
all of it was easy on 15. So we'll make sure we got you on the agenda. Okay.
Ms. St. Columbia?
Third.